Nigeria produces millions of barrels of oil every single day, yet for decades it couldn't refine its own fuel. So one man decided to do something very insane. He built a $19 billion oil refinery that is so massive that it became the largest single-train refinery on earth, and it is built right here in Africa. This is the story of the engineering behind the Dangote Refinery, the project that is so massive that many people didn't believe that it could be built in Africa. What you're about to see might change how you see engineering in Africa. For decades, Nigeria has been one of the largest oil producers in the world, but still it imports its own fuel. Think about this for a second. Nigeria exports crude oil, yet it imports petrol. So the question now became, what if Africa can refine its own oil? That question sparked one of the most ambitious industrial projects in African history. Enter Aliko Dangote. The Dangote Refinery is not just big, it is gigantic, very big. Let's put the scale into perspective for you to see how big it is. It produces 650,000 barrels of oil every day. It is the largest single-train refinery on earth. It is built on 2,635 hectares of land. It requires its own seaports and it requires its own power plants. Imagine building a city of steel, pipes, reactors, and towers. A city whose only job is to turn crude oil into fuel. But the question is, how does a refinery actually work? Let's break down the engineering. This starts from crude oil separation. Crude oil, as we know, is very messy. It is a thick, viscous liquid. It is a mixture of hundreds of different hydrocarbons. Turn it into useful fuel, engineers must separate it. This happens in something we call a simple distillation column. In the process, crude oil is first heated up to 350 degrees Celsius based on their boiling points. Then it turns to vapor and different fuels separate on their boiling points, as seen in the picture. But the Dangote Refinery don't just stop at this simple distillation, because modern refineries upgrade fuel molecules. The second process involves the cracking of the hydrocarbons. Some hydrocarbons are too heavy to be useful, so engineers break them apart. This process is called cracking. There are several methods involved in cracking. The first one is called fluid catalytic cracking, the second one is called hydrocracking, and the third one is called delayed cooking. Dangote Refinery has one of the most advanced hydrocracking systems in the world, which means that it produces more petrol and diesel from every barrel. But here is something many people don't actually realize. Building a refinery is not just about chemistry. The hardest problem is actually the logistics involved. And this is where the Dangote Refinery is truly insane. It's very insane. Over 100,000 workers participated during the construction. Thousands of massive components had to be transported over long distances. Some of these reactor units weighed over 3,000 tons. Very, very heavy. And to move them, engineers had to build special road systems. They also constructed Nigeria's largest private seaport. They installed thousands of kilometers of pipelines, and remember, this entire facility cannot work without electricity. So engineers had to build a 435 megawatts power plant inside the refinery. That's enough for a small city. The Dangote Refinery isn't just an engineering project, it is a symbol. For decades, many people believe that this kind of project is only seen in America, in Asia, in Europe. But now, one of the largest refineries on earth is built in Africa, is built in Lagos, Nigeria. This sends a message far beyond Nigeria. Africa produces about 8 million barrels of oil every day, yet the continent imports billions of dollars of refined fuel. Why? Why is it so? Simply because refining infrastructure is limited. But the Dangote Refinery changes that equation. The potential impact of this refinery is that it has reduced the importation of fuel into the African continent. It could stabilize prices. It has increased the supply of fuel across West Africa, and it has boosted industrialization. Even unemployment has given people jobs, because there are thousands of people that work in the refinery. This is what economists call value addition. Instead of exporting raw resources, milking your country and exporting raw resources, you build industries that can process them locally right in your country. This is how countries move from resource rich to economically powerful. All these developed countries you are seeing today, this is how they started. When you look at the Dangote Refinery, you're not just looking at towers and pipes. You're looking at an ambition made visible. For many young Africans, projects like this change something psychological. They expand the scale of what feels possible. Because the real story of the Dangote Refinery isn't just about refining oil. It's about engineering belief. Belief that Africa can build mega projects. Belief that African industry can compete globally. Belief that the country can move beyond exporting raw materials and start building the machines of the future. And maybe this refinery is just the beginning. If you're passionate about African engineering, innovation, and big ideas, this channel exists for you. Subscribe to Think Africa Lab, because Africa's biggest stories are just getting started. See you in the next video. Bye bye.